Welcome to episode 29 of the StormCast, the world's best podcast. I'm your host, Stormy, and today we are live on YouTube, Rumble, and Twitter, bringing you the latest and greatest news, stories, and updates going on around the world. Today is Wednesday, July 16th, 2025, and it's a rainy and stormy, yet hot 91 degrees outside here in South Carolina. Yeah, you heard that right. It is raining and stormy, but it is also blistering hot outside. Just a little bit of South Carolina weather for you. As always, the StormCast is available everywhere you can find podcasts. So be sure to subscribe on YouTube, drop a 5-star review on Spotify, and follow on Twitter and Rumble. Your support on Patreon helps us to keep going strong. All links for those will be down in the description. And don't forget to like the video. So let's get into it. I hope everyone is having a good week so far. Before we get into today's StormCast, I just want to say I'm glad to be back. It's been a minute, over a month since my last episode, since episode 28. I still have no AC in my house, but it is being fixed. So bear with me. You might hear some fan background noise. I have a lot of fans going on in every room. There's a fan in just about every room in my house right now. Had to get a portable AC to keep my room tolerable. But it's been hot, ladies and gentlemen. This is the worst time of the year for your AC to go out, and just my luck it did. But we're still going strong. We don't stop. We keep going. The latest episode 28, which was almost more than a month ago, has dropped. In the episode, we talked about Elon Musk exiting Doge, the Trump beef with Elon and Trump. We talked about liminal spaces, smart roads, human cloning, restoring vision to the blind, and a lot more. So if you haven't checked that episode out already, I recommend you go and check out the latest episode. I am dropping new videos on the Stormy and Friends YouTube channel. We dropped 2 recent videos. One where my wheelchair got stuck and I had to call for help. And another one where me and my brother took my pops out for Father's Day dinner. And we also did a movie review. So if you haven't checked those 2 videos out, they are up on the Stormy and Friends YouTube channel. Recently I did a movie review with my pops as well. We didn't record it and make a video out of it, but we did go and see 28 Years Later, which was a decent movie. I was looking forward to this movie. It is a zombie movie that could have had a lot more zombie action, but it was not bad. It could have been better, but it was not bad. Apparently there's going to be a sequel to that as well. So I rated it a 7.5 out of 10, and my pops rated it a 7.8 out of 10. So you guys let me know how you think the 28 Years Later movie was down in the comments. I recently just got back from my Baltimore trip, which was a 2-week little vacation. I went up to Baltimore, out to the Kennedy Krieger Spinal Cord Injury Institute for therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, aquatic therapy, and it was really good. Shout out to the chat. We got Cap Quest in the chat, says, "What up, gang? Salute to you, Cap Quest." Shout out to the whole chat. W's in the chat. So the Baltimore trip went good. I done a lot of videos and content recorded while I was out there. So in the next couple weeks, I'll be dropping a video every week. So stay on the lookout for those. Get your post notifications turned on because these videos are going to be really dope, really long vlogs. We went out to DC. I saw the White House, the Washington Monument, the Pentagon. I went to a couple museums. So I recommend you stay tuned and turn those post notifications on because we are going to be dropping a lot of content here soon. And with that being said, I just want to get straight into what's been going on. It has been a little bit since I have gone live, and we've had a StormCast episode, so we need to get updated on what's been going on around the world. All right, so obviously some of the most recent news that's been going on has been this Sean Diddy Combs case. This is from July 2nd from CNN. Sean Diddy Combs denied bail as he awaits sentencing. So what we cover here. So the bail was denied for Sean Diddy Combs after a jury found him guilty of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. The judge cited Combs' history of violence and past illegal conduct while explaining why he declined to release Combs as he awaits sentencing. And before we get more into this, I want to just do a little sound check there. So let's continue on with this sentencing outlook. While Combs was acquitted of the most serious charges, racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking, which, by the way, guys, if he would have got charged and found guilty of those 2, he would have definitely been spending the rest of his life in prison. Sex trafficking is a very serious offense. I believe, obviously, it's a crime that, looks really bad on your record, and I believe, it has a sentencing minimum of 10 years. So while he beat those cases, he is still facing up to 20 years in prison, since the maximum sentence for each of the transportation counts is 10 years. There will be a hearing next week to address the scheduling of Combs' sentencing. So prosecutors accused Combs of leading a criminal enterprise made up of some of his closest employees, alleging they used threats and violence to force Cassie Ventura and another woman, Jane, to engage in drug-fueled sex acts with male escorts. Combs' lawyers argued the sex acts were consensual and merely preference. Okay, which we found out, if you've been keeping up with the case, that Cassie actually was the one that actually scheduled and set up a lot of these freak offs that they had. So the jury did find her, an acquaintance, in the crime. So he did get off with that, but a jury found Sean Diddy Combs guilty of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. He was acquitted of the most serious charges in the federal criminal trial. Cap West in the chat says that trial was some bullshit. Should have never got hit with the RICO. You know what? I agree. The RICO was overkill. Cap Quest. But they're gonna do whatever they can. Obviously, I don't think Cassie was the only one involved. I feel like somebody higher up, Diddy has some dirt on someone that is in a high place, right? So Um, they're doing their best to make this a more of a serious case than it was, but definitely not RICO worthy. I agree. However, the government intends to seek a sentence of incarceration, and Combs still faces up to 20 years. We read that for the two counts he was convicted of, according to Assistant U.S. Attorney Maureen Forney. Here's what you should know. Deliberations. Court began today with jurors continuing to deliberate as Judge Arun Subramanian instructed after the jury couldn't reach a verdict on one of the counts against Combs. The verdict at 9:52 a.m. Eastern Time, the jury sent a note to the judge announcing it reached a verdict on all counts. After the verdict was read and before he was led out of the courtroom by marshals, Combs faced the gallery and clapped, prompting the gallery to clap and cheer. So as far as bail goes, defense attorney Mark Agnifilo called for his client to be released on a $1 million bond while awaiting sentencing. Cassie Ventura's lawyers submitted a letter to the judge asking to deny the defense's request, and the judge ultimately did deny Combs' bail. He said he did so because Combs has demonstrated a disregard for the rule of law and a propensity of violence. As far as sentencing goes, the judge scheduled a remote hearing for next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time to address the sentencing scheduling. Agnifilo said that they would like to expedite the sentencing schedule as much as possible. So Agnifilo said the defense is willing to waive a pre-sentencing investigation to expedite the sentencing schedule if the judge is open to it. But Forney said given the complexity of the trial and the disparity between the parties, positions on the sentencing guidelines range. She doesn't believe the court has enough information to sentence Combs without an investigation. So, the Cassie's lawyer praised his client in a statement, saying that she paved the way for a jury to find Combs guilty on some of the counts against him. Some people gathered outside the courthouse after Combs' verdict were seen spraying baby oil into the crowd, which is the substance he allegedly used during the drug-fueled sexual performances known as freak-offs that were frequently mentioned during his trial. Dawn Richards' attorney called the verdict a disappointment but vowed to continue aggressively fight her case until we obtain full and complete justice for Dawn. As you know, Dawn was one of the defendants, or not defendant, victims that was brought up during, who came up and testified during the trial. So we have here Combs' attorney maintains he did not sexually assault anyone. Let's hear what Diddy's lawyer, attorney has to say on this issue.
I also have been saying this since the beginning of this case. Sean Combs has not sexually assaulted anybody. I've been saying this for months. We've said it with each lawsuit that came out, and today that was proven true. The media got it wrong.
All right, so pretty much just stating that he created that Diddy, she says, is not sexually violent, and she's been stating that for months apparently, and she was found right, correct, proven right on that statement. At least the jury believes so. Tony Garagos, one of Sean Diddy Combs' attorneys, maintained that the music mogul has not sexually assaulted anybody after the verdict in his federal criminal trial, as we just listened to her state. She also stated, I also have been saying this since the beginning of the case, Sean Combs has not sexually assaulted anybody. I've been saying this for months. We've said it with each lawsuit that came out that was proven true. The media got it wrong about Sean Combs every single day for nearly 2 years. She said today outside the courthouse. She also added, he has not sexually assaulted anybody, certainly hasn't sex trafficked anybody, and the jury found that out today. All right. So Combs was found guilty of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, but was acquitted of the most serious charges, racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. Okay, so, although he beat the racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking charges, the transportation to engage in prostitution, the 2 counts, he could be facing 20 years, right? So each count up to 10 years, which, Diddy is a older gentleman, right? He's got to be in his late 50s. I believe he's well into his 50s, right? So add 20 years on that. Let's say he's 57. He won't be getting out to 77, guys. That's, say goodbye to the rest of his music career, the prime of his life, seeing his kids raised, being there for all the important things with his family, all that. So still not really looking too bright, but, at least he did beat the serious charges, right? Defense attorney touts the jury for getting the situation right enough. So let's see what the defense attorney has to say.
Today's a great victory. It's a great victory for Sean Combs. It's a great victory for the jury system. You saw that the Southern District of New York prosecutors came at him with all that they had. They're not stopping, but one thing stands between all of us and a prison, and that is a jury of 12 citizens. And we had a wonderful jury. They listened to every word, and they got the situation right, or certainly right enough.
All right, so you got his defense attorney there praising the jury for what he thinks is the right decision, obviously. And, you can't argue with the law, right? If 12 people find you innocent, you're innocent. It doesn't matter what you think. So that was Mark Agnifilo right there stating the jury's work and touting it and praising them. He also said, one thing stands between all of us in a prison, and that is a jury of 12 citizens. And we had a wonderful jury. They listened to every word, and they got the situation right, or certainly right enough. The jury acquitted Combs on the sex trafficking charge and the racketeering conspiracy. He added, calling Combs innocent. Today is a win. Today's a victory of all victories for Sean Combs, his defense attorney said. So, defense attorney calls Combs' verdict a great victory. It's a great victory for Sean Combs, a great victory for the jury system. He said he went to call today a great day. All right. Combs tells his family, I love you all, be strong. So following his bail hearing, Diddy faced his family and told them, we're going to make it through this. He said, I'll see you when I get out. Diddy blew kisses to the 2 rows in the courtroom filled with his family and friends. I love you all, he said. Be strong. And can you just imagine being one of Diddy's family or one of his friends and, going to the hearing and hearing about all the, perverted and, diabolical things he was doing with, prostitutes, Cassie and whatnot. It's just, it must be so awkward and it's weird, to hear about that stuff. Obviously, I'm sure most of his friends knew, but to be his daughter or his mom or, his son, and to hear some of the things that he was doing, it's quite crazy, really, to think about. Just before being let out of the courtroom and back into detention, he said, "I love you, Mom." Okay. He'll get his life back, Combs' attorney tells his supporters. So after the judge left the bench, defense attorney Mark Agnifilo turned to Diddy, to his supporters. He told them United States District Court for the Southern District of New York never loses racketeering cases. He told them that Combs showed up and wasn't afraid. He'll get his life back, Agnifilo said. Winning is winning. You live your life and you live a good life. And we know by some of the things that he talked about in this case, Diddy was living a great life, right? He was definitely living his best life, doing whatever he wanted, but no, all the skeletons have now come out of the closet, and he's now facing the repercussions for some of the things I'm sure he never thought he would get away with. I mean, that I'm sure he thought he would get away with, you know. But as I said and mentioned before, I believe this isn't even really about sex trafficking at the end of the day. I don't even think it's about Cassie at the end of the day. I think this whole thing had to do with some dirt that Diddy had on either a celebrity or someone behind closed doors in the shadows, someone at the top, right? And they figured out how to get him canceled, right? And to make him look really bad. And they did that through what they will normally do if you're a man, which is, find a woman that you're associated with and, go through her and dig up dirt that way, So attorney for Dawn Richard calls Combs' verdict a disappointment. Singer Dawn Richard and attorney Lisa Bloom exit federal courtroom during the Diddy trial. Dawn Richard's attorney reacted to Diddy Combs' verdict after a jury found him guilty of the 2 and 5 charges. She says, "Today's split verdict is a disappointment, but the criminal charges are different from the civil claims we filed and have been fighting against Sean Combs. We will continue to aggressively fight our case until we obtain full and complete justice for Dawn." Lisa Bloom in a statement. Okay, so that's what Lisa Bloom, Dawn Richard's attorney, has to say about the situation. Richard was one of the prosecution's 34 witnesses during the trial and was part of the music group Danity Kane, which was formed by Diddy. Okay, so back in the 90s, early 2000s, they had a group called Danity Kane that Diddy, I guess, produced for, looked over. I guess he was like the leader of the group, right? And so Dawn Richard was part of that group, and apparently she was getting some of that Diddy treatment as well. All right. So there's a letter detailing Cassie's feelings may have had an effect on judge's bail decision, legal analyst says. So a letter from Cassie's lawyer sent to Judge Arun Samarian asking him to deny the defense's request that Diddy be released from custody today may have had an impact on the judge's decision to keep Diddy in custody, according to criminal defense trial attorney Stacey Schneider. The letter stated that Cassie believed that Mr. Combs is likely to pose a danger to the victims who testified in this case, including herself. So now we have, the victims pretty much scared for their life, right? So if Diddy is free, and Diddy being a very powerful, very rich man with a lot of connections, he poses a threat, and at least this is what Cassie, her letter states, and so she's scared pretty much. She's not gonna she's not gonna feel very safe if Diddy is free, right? She might feel as though there's gonna be assassination attempts on her, and other victims, or that they're he is known for blowing up cars, doing all type of diabolical things. So Schneider added that she thinks the judge can't unhear the testimony that he heard in the trial. In quotes, Schneider says, the judge pointed out that defense attorneys during the trial admitted that their client was violent and had issues and problems and flaws, and that these were terrible situations. But again, the defense was saying it was domestic violence, Schneider said. So Combs was found guilty of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution and acquitted of the sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy charges, as we know. So during the bail hearing, the judge denied the defense's request to release Combs on bail following the verdict, telling defense attorney Mark Agnifilo, who argued that Combs was not convicted of violent crimes, that in closing arguments, he full-throatedly told the jury that there was violence here. Full-throatedly. All right, so although he was acquitted of the serious charges, they do still see him as a threat to the public. So this is how Combs reacted when the judge denied his bail. In the courtroom sketch, Diddy reacts after he was denied bail on Wednesday. You see there's like a little picture of him drawn here. Obviously, you can't take pictures or videos in the courtroom, so you get sketches of what's going on, and they got a pretty stark look on his face. He doesn't look very happy being denied a bail, right? So he's going to have to be in jail until he is sentenced for his other 2 charges. So when the judge denied Diddy his bail, his mouth dropped and his eyes widened. So the judge confirms bail is denied and sets hearing on sentencing scheduled for next week, which would have been either a week or 2 ago. So the judge is off the bench and court is done for the day. So Diddy, so the prosecutor states that Diddy is an extremely violent man with an extraordinarily dangerous temper. Prosecutor Maureen Forney says the judge is correct in his decision to keep Diddy in detention, calling him an extremely violent man with a danger temper. What's exceptional about Diddy, Forney says, in quotes, is his wealth, his violence, and his brazenness. In quotes, Forney says, he's an extremely violent man with an extraordinarily dangerous temper who has shown no remorse and no regret with his multiple victims. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilo appealed to the judge one more time, saying in part, in quotes, listening to Miss Forney makes me appreciate that we have juries, right? So he's pretty much downplaying the allegations and the defense or the the attack against Diddy there. So Diddy wants to speak with the judge, and the defense attorney says, defense attorney Mark Agnifilo told Judge Arun Sumerian that Diddy would like to speak with him, in quotes. Mr. Combs wants to talk to you, Agnifilo says, telling the court that he'll see what Combs has to say. So the judge to defense attorney, you full-throatedly told the jury that there was violence. So in the courtroom sketch, Judge Sumerian speaks during Combs' bail hearing on Wednesday. All right. So they're stating, the witnesses are stating that, the defense told the jury that he was full-throatedly, that there was violence and that he's a violent man. So they're pointing out some of the contradictions of the defense here. Judge Arun Samarian is addressing defense attorney Mark Agnifilo. We read that you full-throatedly in your closing argument told the jury that there was violence here and domestic violence is violence. And you said this is a case that did involve violence, Samarian told Agnifilo, the defense attorney. Agnifilo responded that there's only been evidence of one instance of violence since 2018, a June 2024 altercation with Jane. And I believe that's I don't know if that's they're stating, pointing out the violent incident that we saw in the hotel room with Diddy dragging and kicking Cassie. I don't believe that's what they're pointing to there. So they're bringing up something else that happened with another witness. Agnifilo says Diddy also entered a batterers program after the Intercontinental Hotel surveillance video was released in 2024. Okay, so I believe that is what they're talking about here. Jane helped Combs write the letter to get into the program. Agnifilo said he is a man in the process of working on himself. And funny thing about this is right before we started hearing all the allegations towards Diddy, he was all on social media, talking about how he's a changed man, how he wants to be known as Brother Love. I don't know if a lot of people guys saw that, but he was all on social media, saying I'm a different person, I want to be addressed as Brother Love and stuff like that. So it's quite crazy. It could be a coincidence that, maybe he knew some charges were going to be brought up before that took place, before he started, trying to change himself. So the prosecutor, the court, doesn't have enough information to skip pre-sentencing investigation. So Prosecutor Maureen Courtney said given the complexity of the trial and the disparity between the parties' positions on the sentencing guidelines range, she doesn't believe the court has enough information to sentence Diddy without a pre-sentencing investigation. Courtney said the government is willing to work with the defense to move the process forward as quickly as possible. Diddy's defense attorney, Mark Agnifilo, who had suggested waiving the pre-sentencing investigation in order to expedite the sentencing schedule, so the defense believes it has strong arguments to make on Combs' behalf for a sentence below the guidelines. Okay. So the judge proposed sentencing on October 3rd. Okay, so a couple months from now. So Judge Arun Samarian had proposed a sentencing date of October 3rd at 10 a.m., but said he is willing to move up the sentencing date at the defense's request. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilo said they would like to expedite the sentencing schedule as much as possible. He said the defense is willing to waive a pre-sentencing investigation to expedite the sentencing schedule, and the judge is open to it. So Diddy demonstrated a disregard for the rule of law and a propensity of violence, the judge says. So the judge, Samarian, said he denied bail for Diddy when it wasn't mandatory before the trial and sees no reason to reach the opposite conclusion now. Samarian is now quoting the defense at different instances when Diddy's lawyers acknowledge his violence toward his former girlfriends. So it's not looking good. The fact that they admitted that Diddy is a violent individual is now coming back to bite them, and his sentencing is going to be affected because of that. So in quotes, at trial, the defense conceded the defendant's violence in personal relationships, saying it happened in relation to Cassie Ventura and Jane. The judge said The judge also said there was also violence and illegal conduct after the searches on Diddy's homes when he was aware he was under investigation. This highlights a disregard for the rule of law and a propensity of violence, he said. So that's not good. The fact that Diddy's homes were, under investigation, he knew that he was being, watched, prosecuted, that a case was impending. The fact that he continued to show violence is not in his favor, right? So the judge denied bail for Diddy. The victim's rights attorney expresses concern about Diddy's potential being released on bail. Gloria Alford, victim's rights attorney, told CNN that she's concerned Diddy may be released on bail. I'm very concerned about Diddy being released on bail, which is a possibility. Alred said, adding that she's sure the judge will, quote, do his very best to consider all the guidelines, factors for sentencing. Alred also noted that there are others who are concerned about the potential release of Diddy, aside from those who testified in his trial, right? And so this is where I kind of come to the conclusion that it's not just Cassie and Jane, right, that are wanting to see Diddy go down for this. I believe he has dirt, whether it be footage or whatnot from his freak offs on somebody in a high place, right, that wants to see him get put away. So Allred said, the victim's rights attorney, in quotes, some of them were willing to testify if, in fact, they were called. Some of them, in fact, were on the witness list, which was turned over to Diddy defense attorneys, but has not been released to the public. So I always am concerned for victims or accusers or people who perceive their victims. They overcame a lot of fear just to speak to law enforcement and tell the truth. And they were very much afraid, she said. So Diddy's got these victims shaking in their boots, right? Nobody wants to come up and testify because they know, obviously, it's a high profile case. They're going to be outed, they're going to be exposed. And so a lot of victims, rightfully, probably just didn't want to be exposed, so probably could have been a lot more evidence brought up and a lot more, victims brought up against him, but they chose not to because they feared Diddy's wrath, ultimately. So Diddy's family is arriving at court ahead of bail hearing. Okay, guys, so I think that's pretty much the gist of it. For now, that's pretty much got us caught up for the Diddy case. Y'all let me know what y'all think, and how y'all feel about this case, and if y'all think it's going to be in favor of Diddy or not, and what you think about Diddy. Would you think he's guilty? You think he's innocent? You think the jury made the right decision? Let me know down below in the chat. And other news going on, we have YouTube starting July 15th will only pay creators who use their real voice and produce original content. And before we read this little article, I would like to say that's really good for me because I am an original content creator, right? And I do produce original content, but there are a lot of AI generated videos out there that generate a lot of money on the internet, and it looks like YouTube is doing away with that. I even had a AI marketing channel where I advertised products using AI, and it worked. I was making money off the channel for the longest time, but they did away with my channel. They completely took it off because I guess I was using AI to promote products and whatnot. So, um, starting July 15th, YouTube will stop paying creators who use AI generated voices and low effort or repurposed content. To be eligible for monetization, creators must now use their real voice to publish original material. If it's a major, so it's a major move targeting the rising flood of AI content on the platform, right? And with the rise of AI, of course, we've watched AI videos. Previous episode, we reacted to all type of AI content. It's really good, and you can't even really tell the difference between AI content and original content a lot of times. So, how they're going to be able to distinguish AI from original creators is going to be interesting. Obviously, they have some type of algorithm that picks up on AI, but yeah, YouTube's new policy specifically bans reused clips, copied content, and fully AI generated videos from earning money. So low effort uploads like slideshows or re-uploads of existing videos are also being cut off from ad revenue. This marks one of the platform's strongest pushes yet to prioritize authenticity. All right, so creators relying on voiceovers from AI or recycling popular clips will now have to pivot or risk a demonetization. As platforms tighten rules, the future of content creation is shifting back toward originality and personality. And, you know, a lot of times you'll have, big podcasts, they'll have a lot of flippers that they have their own channels that they post for. Although, you're stealing clips and posting it and, you're getting monetized and you're getting your own pay for those videos, you're also promoting and, shouting out the original content creators. But it looks as though YouTube is trying to get rid of even those, even people who do clips and repurpose videos and whatnot, which is really interesting. A lot of views and traffic to a lot of videos are from clips. A lot of times people don't want to watch a full podcast; they just want to see highlights and things of that nature. So, so the following will not be eligible for monetization: reuse or repurposed videos, copied content, low effort uploads, or fully AI generated videos, which I was doing. Someone in the comments says, "Excellent. The best way to fight AI is make it so it can't make money." Oh, I guess that is one way to combat it, right? To bring back originality. And we have one more transitioning to the next news article that's been going on recently before we get into our main topics for today's episode. So we have here 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony has been charged with first-degree murder as an adult under Texas state law. We know about the Karmelo Anthony stabbing that recently happened at a Texas high school track meet. The incident reportedly stems from a violent altercation that turned deadly, with the victim, a fellow teenager, shown in the top corner of the image. So Texas is one of the few states that automatically classifies 17-year-olds as adults in the criminal justice system, a law that has drawn increasing scrutiny over the years. According to investigators, the confrontation between the two teens escalated quickly, resulting in fatal injuries, ultimately death, right? Authorities have not released full details. Actually, I believe this is a little behind the ball, this article right here. I believe the actual footage has been released from the from the altercation at the track meet recently. Either way, the first degree murder suggests premeditation or intent, a serious classification carrying the potential for life in prison. Public reaction has been mixed, with some demanding strict consequences, while others question whether a teen's actions can be judged by adult standards. And my personal opinion on this situation is, although you're 17, man, at that age, you're basically an adult. And if I had a kid and that was stabbed and killed by someone, and they got away with it because they're 17, I would be very disappointed, right, in the justice system. But Texas, they play no games when it comes to their court hearings and their laws. So this case has reignited national debate around youth sentencing, brain development, and legal accountability. Experts argue that 17-year-olds lack full cognitive maturity, especially in high stress or emotional situations, and that rehab should be prioritized over incarceration. As the trial unfolds, it may become a flashpoint into the broader conversation on justice system reform. So yeah, obviously, I think it was premeditated, and I think he should be charged. Because who does, like someone in the comments says, who carries a knife to a track meet, right? Like who does that, right? So it makes sense that he was found guilty in this situation. All right, so let's get into today's topics. Moving on, we've got a subject that has got everyone talking. We have ICE raids going crazy. All right. So, Florida immigration raid, over 100 undocumented workers arrested in major ICE raid at a construction site. All right. So, over 100 undocumented workers were arrested in major ICE raid at a Florida construction site this week, sparking national conversation around immigration enforcement. The operation was carried out by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement in coordination with the Department of Homeland Security and state law enforcement. According to ICE officials, the raid was part of an ongoing initiative to crack down on illegal employment practices and identify individuals working without proper documentation. Witnesses described a chaotic scene as agents swarmed the job site, detaining workers and inspecting records. Many of the workers have been taken into federal custody for further processing. The raid has ignited both criticism and praise. Immigration advocates argue it's a harsh move against people seeking honest work, while supporters claim it enforces labor laws and protects jobs. With tensions rising around immigration policy nationwide, this incident adds fuel to a long-standing debate, right? So you have the conservative view on this, where it's, America first, don't be in this country without documentation or unless you're a citizen, right? And it'll also protect our jobs from illegals. And then you have the more liberal leaning view, which is, these people are here for honest work. And while they may claim this, right, that's cool. They're helping out, build infrastructure and things like that. What if they do commit a crime? What, that kind of leaves room for, a lot of crime, right? They're undocumented and illegal. So there are some videos that go along with this. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Give me your hand! Give me your hand! Let's fight! Run it! Run it!
Oh,
Mando un saludo para la fuerza del corazón ahí en la justicia. Get the fucking ground! Give me your hand!
right. These ice raids on this construction site. These guys are just working, right? But they're putting full force on them, putting them in handcuffs, and in the next scene you have them in a van. It looks like just chilling, like hey, look, we're getting deported. We're here illegal, but hey, it is what it is, right? So they got them in handcuffs. I wonder how this guy is taking a video. So obviously someone's in the van taking a video of them, but yeah, it looks like a lot of either Latin Americans here. We'll go to the next video.
There's gonna be one floor above us.
Yeah, you just got a group of illegals all lined up, stacked up. It looks like normal, everyday working construction workers, right? You would never know if these people are illegal or not, which is the crazy part. But like, if they are here illegally, fine. Obviously, they're trying to do something productive in building construction for the United States, right? But it's not the right way to do it, right? You want people who are here, documented, and so if something does bad happen with them, we have proper documentation, right? All right, so we have a news article going along with these ICE raids, titled "More than 1,300 Migrants Arrested in Houston in Just 1 Month," ICE says, and this was just 1 day ago from K Houston 11, fair use. Okay, let me pause real quick and do a quick sound check. Quick sound check. It's like, let me share the screen. Good thing I did a sound check chat. I was not sharing the screen. All right, so here we go. Let's get into it.
Correct. At this hour, we know in June alone, ICE arrested 1,361 people living in the Houston area that the agency claims entered the U.S. illegally. Now, some of those arrests, we understand, included migrants who were deported several times. Some were arrested for robbery as well as homicide. And one was even convicted of hijacking an airplane from Cuba flying to Florida in 2003. Take a look at your screen here. ICE arrested David Lazo Alvaranga June 12th in Houston for entering the country illegally from El Salvador. ICE also arrested Jose Mesa, who they say illegally entered the U.S. 4 times and was convicted of sexual assault of a minor. Then you have Javier Gonzalez, who was also arrested last month. He was convicted of sexual indecency with a minor. Now here's a breakdown of the accused criminals: 32 child predators, 9 murderers.
All right, chat. So these are what some of these illegals have been charged with. We have 32 child predators, 9 murderers, 16 gang or cartel members, and as we just heard, the guy who hijacked an airplane from El Salvador to get here. So, guys, as Donald Trump once said, they're not sending their best, right? So, although you can argue that these guys may help, that they're just trying to earn an honest living, look what you have here, right? You have criminals coming in and out of the country at will, and that is not good for the United States, right? So that is why some of these ICE arrests are actually important. Although you may say, it doesn't matter if you arrest them, they're just going to get back in. Well, at least we catch some of the ones that are serious, right? We're not going to catch all of them. But if we can get 32 child predators, 9 murderers, 16 cartel members, and someone who can hijack airplanes off the street in the United States, I feel like that's a W.
16 gang or cartel members, and that 56-year-old I mentioned earlier convicted for hijacking an airplane. Now, ICE's field office director in Houston says that the brave men and women of ICE continue to work tirelessly to target who they call illegal criminal aliens, if you will, in the area. So they are mentioning how hard they've been working to crack down on that. Now, coming up in the next hour, we're hoping to get some sort of response from immigration, civil rights groups in the area. We plan to reach out to some of them, and if we hear more from them, we'll let you know. Reporting live this morning, Ugochi Iloka, KHOU 11 News.
All right, Ugochi, thank you.
All right, so yeah, it's not sending their best, chat. We have another video also going along with this topic. We have immigration raid at Robertsdale restaurant leaves families angry and devastated. And this was 21 hours ago, chat. So this just happened. Drop a like on the video for the most recent news here on the StormCast, right? All right. So this is from WKRG. Fair use, and let's get into it. All right, chat. So obviously they're not very happy that their illegal husband is getting detained, right? Should have turned him in. May not have been as bad. May not have to had got pulled up on at your job. But as we're seeing, right, Robertsdale, I believe this is Alabama, or a state like Robertsdale, I believe, yes, Alabama. So, guys, these illegals are everywhere, right? They're all over the country, and we just, oh my gosh, I was not sharing the tab. God. I had the wrong tab. The whole video, chat. Y'all didn't see that video. Sorry about that. Either way, guys, you guys heard it, right? So pretty much this lady right here, she got her husband detained from ICE. They're in Alabama. The last video we just was talking about Houston. ICE raids. I know Houston for a fact, and Texas in general has a lot of illegals, right? They come in through the borders of Texas, and they come through San Antonio, which is where I used to live, and El Paso, and a lot of southern cities as well. And they have whole trafficking routes, right, to get to where they need to go, and to be able to find out, you have safe houses and stuff like that along the way to get to where they need to go. So it's like a tunnel. It's like a kind of like the Underground Railroad, if you will, for getting illegals throughout the country. So this is also relating to the ICE raids going on right now. This is titled "Local Officials Address Immigration Raids." This is from KTLA 5. This was 18 hours ago, chat. So fresh news for you. And yeah, let's get into it.
Also this afternoon, the LA County Board
Fair use, by the way.
of Supervisors introducing motions to support workers, also families impacted by the recent immigration raids.
There is also a new DHS policy impacting those who are being detained. KTLA 5 Jennifer McGraw live in downtown LA with the details. Jennifer.
Glenn and Lou, Supervisor Hilda Solis brought this before the board today. She said she wants to pass 4 motions to help immigrants who have been detained. Help may be on the way for Angelenos affected by ICE raids across the county. The main and first motion presented by Supervisor Hilda Solis would give money within 30 days to support workers and families impacted by immigration raids. It will also help foster families' pets impacted, and thirdly, help return work equipment and vehicles left behind by those detained.
I think the county should do whatever they can, whatever funds are available. I know they're a little bit hard right now at the county, but these are people's lives. I think they've been targeted. Anything that you could do for them to help, that county could do, I think we should do it.
While the county is looking to help detained immigrants, the federal government is imposing even more restrictions. The Department of Homeland Security is revising its legal position on detention and release, according to a memo from the acting director of ICE, telling officers that such immigrants should be detained for the duration of their removal proceedings, meaning they would not be able to bail out.
I think this is sending the wrong message. The message is to keep people from coming illegally. However, the message is being sent to families and those detained that they should just self-deport and not even pursue the right to fight against losing their green card or to fight for an immigration relief that many have a right for.
Alma Rosa Nieta is an immigration attorney. She says this is a major setback for undocumented people here in the U.S. and has a word of warning for those being detained.
Those that are hearing this and maybe have family that is detained, please advise them to seek legal counsel. Do not sign voluntary departure or self-deport because you've heard this message and you think you're going to be detained for years. Hang on tight. There will be litigation.
And the other motions include meal plans and also to help those immigrants who aren't getting federal funding or state funding so that they continue to get those programs. That's very latest. We're live in downtown. Back to you in Hollywood.
Yeah, guys, LA is so incredibly left, so incredibly liberal. It doesn't matter if they're illegal or not. The Californians, the wokies over there in California, they are going to sympathize and want fair, treatment for these individuals. While you have on the right side, it's deport them, get them out of here, so it's quite funny, the contrast in beliefs and what people think should go on with the ICE raids. You let me know down below what you think, whether you think that these are good people, we should just find easier ways for them to get citizenship, or we should just, straight up just ban the aliens, get them out of here, right? So, in other news, here's what you need to know to get up to speed transitioning here. We have robots on Mars, one of our favorite topics here on the StormCast, robots, AI, things of that nature. This article from Newsweek titled Elon Musk to send Optimus robots to Mars and what to know. This is from April 10th, 2 days before my birthday. We have Tesla's Optimus robots will be used to explore the surface of Mars, Elon Musk confirmed today. The humanoid robots, which were initially pitched as household assistants in October last year, will hopefully be sent to Mars on SpaceX flight by the end of 2026. My thoughts right off the back is Mr. Elon Musk, can we please get the household assistants first? Because I could really use a humanoid robot. I know a lot of people do, but I need a refined one that's going to help me out with all my daily needs. Thank you. All right, let's continue here. So, the context, right? Getting humanity on Mars has been one of Elon's long-term goals for a while, and his most profitable company, SpaceX, is vital to NASA's plans to get there. The use of Tesla Optimus robots, which are bipedal and autonomous, shows that Musk is increasing his influence over U.S. space exploration even further. So here we have, this picture is the Tesla Optimus robot at the Third World Artificial Intelligence Cannes Festival International exhibition in France, Cannes, France. A Chinese company has announced it has started mass production of general use robots, having reportedly manufactured almost 1,000 robots. Okay, so robots in Asia are a lot more prevalent than here in the United States as of right now. But with Elon and SpaceX HQ being here in the United States, I believe that will soon change. We will soon be getting robots here, and that's what I'm excited for. So what to know, right? Unveiled at Tesla's We Robot event in October 2024, the Optimus robots were shown off as assistants capable of performing household chores and basic tasks. And we watched that event in a previous episode when we talked all about the Optimus Tesla robots. So Elon, in quotes, says, "It'll do anything you want," he said at the showcase. It can't be a teacher. It can be, however, it can be a teacher, babysit your kids. It can walk your dog, mow your lawn, get the groceries, just be your friend, serve drinks. Okay, so I think, for me, having a robot in the house that can babysit my kids, when I do eventually have kids, of course, that would come in handy. Walking my dog, if I eventually do get a dog, that'll come in handy, right? Because I can't go out and walk my dog like I want. So that'll be something I don't have to do. Mowing my lawn, that would also be amazing. I pay $75 every couple weeks right now to get my lawn cut. So that'll save me some money. It'll get the groceries. That'll save me some time. Just be your friend. Okay, so, and serve me drinks, of course. What I need is to serve the drinks, serve me food, also help me out in that way. But help me out with daily tasks like transferring, showering, right? Driving me places, right? When we can get to that point, which is going to come eventually, right? We have to start out small, but that's what I'm ultimately looking for, right? So whatever you can think of, it will do, says Elon, right? So the robots were already functional at the event, moving and mingling with guests. Now, Musk has said that he plans on including them on a Starship flight to Mars in 2026, writing on social media in quotes. Starship will hopefully depart from Mars at the end of next year with Optimus Explorer robots. Musk has reportedly said that he wants an unmanned flight to Mars carried out by the end of 2026. But today was the first time reference to the Tesla robots was made, right? So the top Trump ally, which is Musk, obviously we know that that's no longer the case, right? But he said that an unmanned flight would be followed by astronauts a few years later. In quotes, flight rate will grow exponentially from there with the goal of building a self-sustaining city in 20 years. Musk wrote on X, formerly Twitter, in September, in quotes, being multiplanetary will vastly increase the probable lifespan of consciousness, as we will no longer have all our eggs literally and metabolically on one planet. However, some observers are skeptical about the timeline of the plan. In quotes, says, if you start to look at the practical things, it's going to take quite a bit of time to actually pull it off. Derek Pitts, chief astronomer at Philadelphia's Franklin Institute, told Newsweek, in quotes, could it happen this decade? It could, but with a whole lot of risk. But if you give me 3 decades, I could see how the risk could possibly drop to an acceptable level. Okay. So, what are people saying about this? Elon Musk, at the launch of Tesla Optimus robot, said, in quotes, I think this will be the biggest product ever of any kind. Chris Impey, a professor of astronomy at the University of Arizona, told Newsweek, in quotes, if you take Starship as the vehicle, there were partial successes and partial failures, but it's a long learning curve. And so, in my estimation, there'd have to be dozens of various Starship demonstrations and test launches before you could send humans on the perilous trip, which is where the robots will come in, right? Send the robots first, see how they do, then we can send manned missions, right? So there's essentially no way humans are going to be on Mars while Trump is in office. It's just not possible, this guy says. All right, so what happens next? Despite Elon Musk's goals, there is no unmanned flight to Mars scheduled for 2026 yet. NASA and SpaceX schedule their launches around a year in advance, so any indication of a launch will appear towards the end of 2025, right? So be on the lookout for announcements to Mars. And in going with this, and staying with this topic, we have Tesla Optimus is going to Mars. This from Robot Vids on YouTube 1 month ago. Fair use. Let's check it out.
At the latest SpaceX event, Elon Musk made a jaw-dropping announcement. Tesla's humanoid robot, Optimus, is heading to Mars. Yes, really. As part of the 2026 mission to the Red Planet, multiple Optimus units will be on board with one mission: prepare Mars for human colonization. What once sounded like science fiction is now becoming tangible. The timeline? Launch in late 2026, arrival in early 2027. This isn't a future prediction. It's a countdown. Why send?
So they're saying that the announcement for this flight will happen at the end of 2025, coming up here soon. The flight to take place usually about a year later. So in 2026, we'll have the flight. And then I believe to get to Mars, flight would take around six months, right? So then we'd have to wait and terraform and, start civilization. And then from there, we can start sending manned missions. So I would say by 2030, we get our first manned mission and we can start sending people. Y'all let me know down in the comments, in the chat, would you be willing to go? If civilization starts on Mars, would you be willing to take off and head that way? Y'all let me know.
A robot before a human. The Martian reality check. Mars is not a place you want to send people unprepared. Its atmosphere is thin, with barely 1% of Earth's pressure. Temperatures can plummet to minus 100 degrees Celsius. Radiation levels are dangerously high. And then there's the dust, fine, invasive, and capable of crippling sensitive equipment. Before we even think about humans setting up camp, we need pioneers to do the hard, hazardous work. And those pioneers are robots. Optimus, from assembly line to interplanetary pioneer. Optimus was originally built for factory labor, tasks like sorting, carrying, or repetitive motion work. But it's evolved fast. In just a couple of years, we've seen Tesla's humanoid go from barely standing to walking, navigating, and using its fingers to handle delicate materials. In its latest demonstrations, it's walking untethered, responding to its environment, and learning tasks through imitation and neural networks. The Mars version of Optimus will need more than walking ability. It'll need autonomy, durability, and versatility. It must survive extremes and adapt in real time, with no direct human oversight. Commands from Earth take anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes to reach Mars. That delay makes remote control nearly impossible, which means Optimus will need to think for itself. End-to-end AI, what sets Optimus apart? Optimus is powered by the same full-stack AI that runs Tesla's autonomous driving software. It's trained on massive datasets using real-world inputs, simulated feedback loops, and reinforcement learning. Its brain is a neural net that's learning not just how to move, but how to understand. This AI-first approach makes Optimus unique among humanoids. It's not just mimicking motion. It's building a representation of the world it can act within. This autonomy is exactly what Mars demands. Optimus won't be taking orders. It'll be making decisions, navigating terrain, identifying materials, and responding to unpredictable conditions. It's not a Mars rover on wheels. It's a mobile worker that could assemble shelters, deploy solar panels, or dig trenches for life support infrastructure. The bigger picture, what about the other humanoids? If Tesla Optimus is going to Mars, a natural question follows: could other robots follow suit? Let's look at two of the most advanced humanoids in the world today, Boston Dynamics Atlas and Figure 02, and explore whether they might join the space race. Boston Dynamics Atlas, a legend in motion. Atlas has long been the poster child for humanoid robotics. Its parkour routines, backflips, and obstacle runs have wowed millions. It's fast, strong, and extremely agile.
Chat, it's cool to sit back and look at, the amazement, and the amazing things that these robots can do, but to be the person building these things, I mean, it must take so much intricate work and design, and, mechanic work and all that coding. It must be very difficult, but obviously we want to see the end result, right, and it working, right? But watching it being developed is quite crazy.
But Atlas is powered largely by scripted movement. While it looks fluid, much of its behavior is pre-programmed for specific environments. That makes it incredible for demonstrations and controlled conditions, but less suited to the kind of dynamic problem-solving Mars.
That robot just did a backflip. Insane.
Mars. That said, Boston Dynamics, the next-generation Atlas that uses electric actuators, has a slimmer profile and features a broader range of motion. If that robot is paired with advanced AI, perhaps from Boston Dynamics' parent company, Hyundai, it's not impossible to imagine a version of Atlas contributing to planetary exploration someday. But the current Atlas is more gymnast than construction worker. Figure 02, the quiet competitor with big ambitions. Then there's Figure, the California-based startup that seemingly came out of nowhere and is now being taken very seriously. Figure 02, their flagship humanoid, has made major strides in a short time, walking, grasping objects, and even holding basic conversations through AI interfaces. Figure is backed by OpenAI and Microsoft, among others, and its long-term vision is planetary-scale deployment. Could we see Figure 02, or its successor, head to Mars? Absolutely. Figure's team has been explicit about wanting their robots to work in dangerous environments, including space. If Tesla sets the precedent, companies like Figure will follow. And because Figure's platform is being developed with modularity and industrial-grade hardware, it's likely adaptable to harsh extraterrestrial conditions. A new era, space-rated humanoids. What we're witnessing isn't just a Tesla project. It's the emergence of an entirely new industry, space-rated humanoid robotics. For decades, robots in space have mostly meant rovers, arms, or drones. Now we're looking at full-bodied machines, walking and working on alien worlds. These humanoids could handle outpost setup, scientific instrumentation, repair missions, or emergency response long before the first astronaut arrives. Optimus may be the first, but it won't be the last. Space agencies like NASA and ESA are likely watching closely. In fact, NASA's own Valkyrie humanoid project was once aimed at Mars, but never left Earth. Private companies might beat them to it. Why Mars changes everything for robotics? Mars isn't just a destination. It's a pressure cooker for innovation. To survive there, robots must be efficient, autonomous, resilient, and adaptable. Those same traits make them valuable back on Earth. A robot that can function on Mars can certainly handle a collapsed building, a wildfire zone, a nuclear reactor, or a remote mining outpost. Space drives convergence between software and hardware, between human needs and robotic solutions. Synergy, Tesla plus SpaceX equals robotic deployment at scale. Let's not overlook what makes Tesla uniquely positioned. It's not just building the robot. It also owns the rocket. With SpaceX's Starship, Optimus can be delivered to Mars in large numbers. This is the first time in history that the same entity is developing both the payload and the delivery system. That kind of vertical integration means lower cost, faster iteration, and complete mission control. Starship can carry over 100 tons of cargo to Mars. That's enough to send entire robot teams, support hardware, and maybe even mobile charging stations or prefab habitats. Optimus isn't a one-off, it could be a workforce. Public perception will shift overnight. The first time the world sees a humanoid robot walking on Martian soil, public perception of robots will change instantly. No longer just tools or sci-fi tropes, robots will be recognized as pioneers. That image, of a humanoid standing on a red plain, framed by a distant sun and rocky horizon, will become iconic. It will inspire a generation. We're watching the birth of the interplanetary worker class. This isn't about replacing humans. It's about protecting them. Robots like Optimus, Atlas, and Figure 02 could become our pathfinders. They'll build the scaffolding for our future in space, one solar panel, one data relay, one habitat frame at a time. This is the beginning of an interplanetary worker class. And it's starting now. Final thought, who will be first, and who will be best? Optimus has the inside track, but the race is only beginning. With billions pouring into humanoid robotics, don't be surprised if the next mission to Mars includes more than one brand. Tesla may be first. Figure may be fastest. Boston Dynamics may be the most agile. But the real winners? Humanity, and the machines we're sending ahead of us.
I agree. Humanity is the ultimate winner right in the space race. Obviously, shout out to Elon Musk and everything he's doing with SpaceX. But all the companies that follow and that compete with him, it's only going to drive innovation and drive the technological advancement that we need in order to make these robots viable and working and a productive part of our society, right? And humanity. It's only going to benefit us all. So next up, let's talk about an interesting one with plenty of angles to explore. Now, we just had a billionaire, Elon Musk, and his robots get highlighted. Now we have Jeff Bezos, fellow billionaire and owner of Amazon. Now he is getting in on the robot game. So Amazon is preparing for robots now. Amazon prepares to test humanoid robots for delivering packages. Amazon is reportedly gearing up to test humanoid robots, aiming at assisting and potentially replacing its delivery workforce, according to the information. That is not good for delivery drivers for Amazon, right? They're going to be priced out of their job. The company is developing custom AI software to run these robots while initially relying on third-party hardware for its early trials. So to facilitate testing, Amazon is constructing a dedicated indoor space dubbed the Humanoid Park at one of the San Francisco offices. This area will act as a simulated obstacle course, mimicking real-world delivery challenges. The effort is part of Amazon's larger strategy to weave AI deeper into its logistics network, which already includes stockroom and warehouse automation. Though Amazon, has yet to make a public statement, the move reflects a clear intent to cut delivery costs and speed up operations by reducing dependence on human labor. Someone in the comment type, "Can we please just give people a job?" Well, my friend, I'm sorry to say, but they are gonna lose their jobs. Okay, a lot of people will lose their jobs when these humanoid robots from a thing, and I feel like there will be retaliation of some sort, strikes, like if it gets to that point of joblessness. You're gonna have people trying to kill the robots. It's gonna be robot wars with the humans, and that's how it all starts, right? iRobot, there you go, right there, right? They turn on us, it's a war. Terminator. We've seen it 100 million times, but here we are living in a movie. So there's a video to go with this. Very dystopian. That the robots pulling up, delivering the packages. It's here, folks. And going along with this news, this topic, rather, we have an article from The Verge titled, "Amazon is reportedly training humanoid robots to deliver packages." So basically what we just read, it's an article that goes with it. This is from June 5th of 2025. The robots would be driven around in Rivian vans to jump out and drop packages at homes. In this picture, we have early bipedal robots from Amazon partner Agility Robots. Pictured were pitched for package delivery tasks. And these robots look a lot different than the humanoid robots, right? These ones look like their specific purpose is to deliver packages, right? And as I said, not good for delivery drivers, right? You see them all the time, Amazon delivery drivers. Well, they will be replaced here soon. So, future Amazon orders may be delivered to your door by a humanoid robot workforce. The information reports that Amazon is developing AI software that will enable robots to operate as package delivery workers that are ferried around in Rivian electric vans and will soon be ready to start real-world testing at a new facility. Citing an anonymous source involved in the effort, the information says that Amazon has almost finished constructing an indoor humanoid park at one of their retail giants' San Francisco offices that's roughly the size of a coffee shop. The obstacle course reportedly contains one Rivian van for training purposes, with Amazon aiming to have humanoid robots, hitch a ride in the back of Amazon's electric Rivian vans and spring out to deliver packages. The report coincides with Amazon launching a new agentic AI team to help develop technologies that will power robots, quote, operating in Amazon distribution and logistic hubs. In a statement to Silicon Valley, Amazon says that, well, instead of rigid, specialized robots, we're creating systems that can hear, understand, and act on natural language commands, turning warehouse robots into flexible, multi-talented assistants. And that's another thing about delivery drivers, right? Because obviously, as a human, you can respond to the people that you deliver packages to. Maybe they have a question about the package, so on and so forth, the human aspect of it. Well, these robots are not far behind, right? So they're going to have their own sense of reality. So Amazon is already using a variety of autonomous robots in its warehouse operations, including a trial of Agility Robotics humanoid Digit, a robot that was originally pitched for tasks like sitting in the back of vans and delivering packages alongside other logistics uses. Amazon's training facility is a concerted effort to make this original vision a reality. The information reports that, quote, a variety of humanoid robots will be tested for package delivery at its facility, including a $16,000 unit from China-based Unitree. Hundreds of thousands of people currently handle delivery operations at Amazon globally. Amazon acquired the robotaxi company Zeus in 2020, suggesting a desire to fully automate end-to-end package delivery from the warehouse to your front door. All right, so that's that. That's what I have on Amazon preparing for robots. Jeff Bezos obviously seeing what Elon is doing with his company and following suit. So this next one is pretty interesting with lots to unpack here. So we have Japan wants to build a space elevator, right? So Japan wants to build an elevator that takes you to space, not a rocket, not a shuttle, a system that lets you ride from Earth straight into orbit. This is how they plan to take people into space, like a normal elevator ride by 2050. Right? And this is something straight out of the movie. When I saw this article, I haven't read any of it yet. I'm reacting to it here with you guys, but when I saw this, I was like, yeah, this is absolutely nuts. How are they going to do this? How are they going to accomplish this? Well, today we find out. All right. So it's called the space elevator. And if it works, it could reduce the cost of reaching orbit by 90%, right? Because the normal person is trying to reach orbit anyway, right? Well, I guess this could, help us get to, you can take like tours to space, sightseeing in space, and I guess for astronauts, this is an easier way to get to space, maybe get to the International Space Station, things of that nature. So this requires no rockets, no boosters, just a ride straight up. Right? So the idea sounds insane, but the concept has been studied by scientists for decades. Japan may be the first to actually try building it. The plan is simple in theory. Anchor one end of a cable on Earth, attach the other end to a counterweight orbiting in space. Seems simple enough, right? A robotic climber would move along the cable carrying cargo or people. This requires no fuel and would result in no explosions. Just electricity and gravity doing all the work. The cable would need to be stronger than steel, something light, flexible, and nearly unbreakable. Japan is betting on carbon nanotubes or graphene to make it possible. So Japan's Obayashi Corporation announced its goal to build the elevator by 2050. It's one of the country's largest construction giants, and they've already run small-scale tests in space with satellites. Okay, so another innovative Asian country, this time being Japan. You know, furthering along scientific, exploration and development, right? So they believe once the material tech catches up, construction can begin. They plan to launch a 96,000 kilometer cable with solar powered climbers traveling at 200 kilometers an hour to space stations. The elevator would carry people and equipment to space at a fraction of current launch costs. A rocket launch costs over $8,000 per kilogram. A space elevator could reduce that to as low as $100. It's not just cheaper, it's safer. No explosions, no re-entry risk, and you can launch daily, not months apart. All right. So the station in space could serve as a hub for satellites, deep space missions, asteroid mining, even Mars travel. It could change the economics of space forever. Right now, Japan is focusing on two things: developing ultra-strong tether materials and running orbital tests to simulate the elevator's stress conditions. In 2018, Japan launched two small cube satellites connected by a cable into orbit. They tested how a tiny climber moved along it in microgravity, a baby step, but a real one. Obayashi isn't alone. Japan's universities and space agencies are involved, and researchers globally are watching closely. There are still major challenges, however: tether strength, space debris, Earth weather conditions, but none of them are scientifically impossible, just very hard. And as far as space debris goes, I don't know if you've ever seen a map of the space debris from like the 50s to now, but there's space debris everywhere, and I would assume that flying particles orbiting space would definitely pose a threat. Along with space conditions, as they said, Earth weather conditions, and unforeseen risks such as asteroids and things of that nature that could just take place in space. Anything could go wrong, right? But 2050 is a long time away. You have a lot of time to develop this. If successful, this would be one of humanity's greatest engineering feats. Not just a transport device, a literal bridge between Earth and space. Right? So, going along with this, we have an article from Groovy Japan titled Japan's Space Elevator Ready to Build in 2025. So this was 4 years ago. Obviously now it's 2025, and now we're getting into talks, right? So Abayashi Corporation, one of Japan's top construction companies, is currently testing carbon nanotubes, or CNTs, a key element towards bringing the space elevator to life. Until now, the idea seems like a sci-fi fantasy, but since the discovery of CNT by a Japanese engineer in 1991, progress towards its creation is getting faster. The space elevator will connect Earth to outer space using a 96,000 kilometer long CNT cable. The cable, which stretch through the Earth atmosphere, will carry materials and people using wheeled lifts called Climber, right? 96,000 kilometers. That is a very long cable. So, how to build a space elevator? Well, first, building materials for the space lift will be delivered by a rocket in several stages to build a spaceship at low Earth orbit, or LEO. The spaceship will use electric propulsion to move up as it circles around the Earth, reaching geostationary Earth orbit, or GEO. That is where it will start to rotate at the same speed as the Earth's rotation. Once the spaceship reaches an altitude of 36,000 kilometers, it will move up while releasing the CNT cable, while thrusters attach to its tip. After 8 months from the rocket launch, the cable will reach the Earth's surface. When the spaceship reaches an altitude of 96,000 kilometers, it will then become a counterweight. Climber for construction goes up while attaching reinforcing cables and joins the counterweight at the top. By reinforcement about 500 times, a 100-ton climber can be used. Next, with the completed climber, materials will be carried to an altitude of 36,000 kilometers to complete the geostation, right? So next, we have the Earthport, which is a gateway to space on Earth. The Earthport is built in two sections, one on land at the equator and one at sea, connected by an undersea tunnel. So in this picture, we have a floating base or Earthport being shown. So this is where the Earthport will be stationed in the water. Once the space lift is built, it will be less expensive to go into space and more sustainable, as there is no fuel or toxic chemicals waste. At a launch speed of 150 kilometers an hour, the climber will reach an altitude of 400 kilometers, where the International Space Station is located, in about 2.5 hours. That is also almost the same as traveling between Tokyo to Osaka by bullet train. Each launch will probably cost around several million yen. So the space lift is not just a way for space travel and transport. The essence of this project concept can also be seen as an effort to solve energy problems. The project includes deploying a space solar power system, or SSPS, satellite at an altitude of 36,000 kilometers. Unlike solar power on the Earth's surface, SSPS is not affected by the weather. As many people know, solar energy is unlimited and free. According to calculations, 45 minutes of solar radiation is equal to the energy used by humans for 1 year. 112 hours of radiation is equal to the energy used by all proven reserves of oil, coal, and natural gas on Earth. The energy received by the 2 kilometers squared of solar panels floating in space is then sent as microwaves to the receiving antenna on Earth. That's right, it can transmit energy wirelessly over a distance of 36,000 kilometers. Insane. The receiving antenna is called a rectifying antenna and has a diameter of 2.5 kilometers over the sea. Think of it as big as the size of a golf course for a better idea. Because the rectifying antenna is huge, in theory, a person can't be roasted even when exposed to microwaves. The Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, or JAXA, and the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology, Japan, or MEXT, will collaborate to start SSPS testing in 2022. Obayashi Corporation plans to start building in 2025 and use the space lift in 2050. The Japanese government has also set a target to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050, making many initiatives to make this a reality. So there's a clip that goes with this called the Space Elevator Construction Concept. Let's check it out. And this is a long clip, so we'll probably watch like the first 3.5, 4 minutes, just to get a kind of a idea of what they're talking about here in this clip. Let's get into it.
A space elevator is a transportation system which connects the Earth with space. When compared with a rocket, it will be very effective for carrying cargo and people, and therefore, a space elevator is highly expected to be an economical and environmentally friendly transportation method. Prior to 1991, the concept of a space elevator had been considered to be a dreamy idea because there existed no material which was light enough or strong enough to be used to make a cable connecting the Earth with.
Okay, chat. So this is kind of a redundant video for us to react to. 12 minutes as well, very long video. It just seems as though they're talking about what we just read about, pretty much the logistics behind the space elevator and the construction concept that follows. So moving on with this article, and to finish it off, we have a network of Japanese companies keen to expand into the halal market in Malaysia and Indonesia. If you are interested in connecting with sustainable technology companies in Japan, simply join the network below. So you can, guys, chat. If you are, wanting to get into sustainable technology and engineering of this sort for space elevators, then you can join this on this website right here and register if that is something that you would find interesting. So to close out the episode, let's wrap things up with one last topic. This one's got some layers to go back. This from the Harvard Gazette, right? And when I saw this title of this article, I was like, man, we are just doing all type of crazy stuff with our bodies, and this is just the next step, right? So this is living tattoos, right? So smart tattoo ink changes color to monitor dehydration and blood sugar, right? So what we often thought of as degenerate, maybe pointless a lot of times when we get dumb tattoos. Well, these tattoos are going to be smart tattoos, right? They're going to be on your side, right? So feeling woozy, time to check the tattoo. So researchers aim beyond wearables with project combining art and medicine. So Harvard and MIT researchers have developed smart tattoo ink capable of monitoring health by changing color to tell an athlete when she is dehydrated or a diabetic when his blood sugar rises. The work, conducted by 2 postdoctoral fellows at Harvard Medical School and colleagues led by Katia Vega at MIT's Media Lab, paired biosensitive inks developed at Harvard with traditional tattoo artistry as a way to overcome some of the limitations of current biomedical monitoring devices. So Ali Yedison, who is a postdoctoral fellow at HMS and Massachusetts General Hospital, said in quotes, "We were thinking new technologies. What is the next generation after wearables?" And so we came up with the idea that we could incorporate biosensors in the skin. And there's a clip to go along with this. Tattoos as medical condition monitors. Let's see how long this is. May or may not watch the whole thing. It's a minute long, so yeah, let's jump into this clip right here.
Can tattoos embrace technology in order to make the skin interactive? The dermal abyss presents a novel approach to biointerfaces in which the body's surface is rendered an interactive display. Traditional inks are replaced with biosensors whose colors change in response to variations in the intestinal fluid. The pH sensor changes between purple and pink, and the glucose sensor between blue and brown. The sodium and second pH sensor fluoresce at a higher intensity under UV light. The dermal abyss creates direct access to the compartments of the body and reflects inner metabolic processes in the shape of a tattoo. It could be used for applications in continuously monitoring, such as medical diagnostics, quantified self, and data encoding in the body. Preliminary evaluation was done in an ex vivo pig skin model. Several injections in the skin were done in order to understand the visibility and functionality of the biosensors. In the same way that the wearables industry is integrating fashion practices into their development, we envision new participation between the biotech companies and skin professionals, such as prosthesis experts and tattooists, in order to embrace the idea of human-device symbiosis.
Short little video there to react to. Not bad, pretty much explaining everything that goes into how these tattoos would actually work biologically. Continuing on with the article, a drawback of current wearable monitoring devices is that they don't seamlessly integrate with the body. Yes, it said, short battery life is a concern, and so is the need for wireless connectivity, neither of which is an issue with the simple color-based interface of biosensitive tattoo ink. Yedison said, in quotes, "We wanted to go beyond what is available through wearables today." Nan Jiang, a postdoctoral fellow at Harvard Medical School and Brigham and Women's Hospital, said the project is, quote, a dermal abyss, was conducted as a proof of concept, and that further refinements such as stabilizing ink so designs don't fade or diffuse into surrounding tissue would be needed for a medical project. Yeah. So the dermal abyss tattoo inks change color according to the chemistry of the body's interstitial fluid, which can be used as a surrogate for constituents of the blood. One ink changes from green to brown as glucose concentration increases. The team has also developed a green ink, viewable under blue light, that grows more intense as sodium concentration rises, an indication of dehydration. Researchers tattooed the inks onto segments of pig skin and noted how they changed color or intensity in response to different biomarkers. So can you imagine, chat, just, walking around and, having a good day, chilling, and then all of a sudden your arm starts glowing green ink, right? Because you're dehydrated, right? So you're like, all right, well, looks like it's time to get some water, right? And you know that because we have bio ink now, bio tattoos, right? So pretty crazy stuff here. Continuing on, Yang and Yedison said that once the bugs are worked out, the applications for biologically sensitive ink are fairly broad. Ink could be incorporated into long-lasting tattoos for chronic conditions or into temporary designs for shorter duration monitoring. Another possibility is invisible ink that reacts to a particular kind of light. Yedison has already developed an app that can analyze a picture of a sensor and provide quantitative diagnostic results. While patients are an obvious potential market, Yedison said the technology could be used in astronauts for whom continuous health monitoring is desirable, right? Or I could see it, just being used in someone with normal, health condition, something that needs to be monitored. Somebody with low blood sugar, or diabetics, things of that nature, where they're constantly, needing to be monitored and to get vitals on their situation. So, Gian said the project's purpose was to excite artists and scientists alike about the potential for such technology and to stimulate discussion of ethical issues it might raise, such as people's willingness to have health information displayed for all to see. So, the purpose of the work is to light the imagination of biotechnologists and stimulate public support for such efforts. These questions of how technology impacts our lives must be considered as carefully as the design of the molecular sensors patients may someday carry embedded in their skin. So that's the end of that article there, and the end of our topics for today. But this is from 2017, and it makes me wonder if these are being, implemented, in the healthcare system. Very interesting stuff there. Very interesting episode as well. I appreciate everybody that joined today's episode. It was a great episode. We talked about all type of different things. We talked about the Diddy case, YouTube's new payer program, the Carmelo Anthony case, ice raids going on, robots on Mars, Amazon preparing for robots, Japan's space elevator project, and living tattoos, biomedical tattoos. We do have guests coming up, and we are going to get back to dropping a episode every week. Before our slight break here, we had a video and a pod dropping every week, podcast dropping every Wednesday, and videos usually dropping Friday or Saturday. So be on the lookout. As always, turn on those post notices to be notified when I do go live. And yeah, guys, just like that, if you want to support the podcast further, you can go down to the description below and you can join the Patreon and join the community there. It's a lot of good behind the scenes footage and vlogs and content there, as well as perks that you don't get unless you are a part of the community. So yeah, if you feel inclined to support the pod, that's one way to do it. You can also like the video, comment down below, and let me know what you want to see and hear about and topics you like from this episode and want to hear on the next episode. And just let me know what you thought about today's episode and everything we talked about, and your thoughts on today's topics, good or bad. And yeah, you guys, just like that, it's been another episode. I love you guys so much, and I will see you on the next episode. Goodbye, everybody.